on a Thursday. There's a reason for it. Some major developments, footballing wise, over the last few days. I was a happy bunny. Uh, your man on the screen as well, he was very, very happy as well. So I think you must be delighted. But before we start, how are you?
Yeah, very well, Ayub. Thank you so much. Thursday night here in Dubai. As you know, recently started a new job. Actually, first day of work was after the big game at the Emirates. So you can imagine, game finishes at 1 a.m. local time. Then, obviously, with the result, a lot of adrenaline, a lot of reaction that you're checking out. Was also texting a good friend of mine who was fortunate enough to be at the game. Incredible atmosphere. I was getting lots of videos from himself. And then, yeah, went to sleep at 2, had to wake up early at 6, ready for day one of the new chapter. So, yeah, it's been a long couple of days with work and what have you, but no doubt a little bit of the adrenaline from the Emirates game definitely lasting me, taking me through this point. How about yourself? How are things for you?
Still in a little bit of pain. The swelling's gone down, which is a bit of a relief. It was quite swollen, so that's gone down. The pain is still sort of there, which is a bit of a it's sort of bugging me a little bit, but it's to be expected. I mean, it's not as bad as it was, but it's still sort of reasonably painful as soon as the painkillers wear off. But it is what it is. If you want that Hollywood smile, you got to suffer for it. So
It's the
I'm
only
just
thing.
grinning and bearing it.
Yeah, it's the only thing Hollywood about you. But yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, look,
Yeah.
leave it. I mean, before we start, I mean, I'm going to indulge you. I mean, yeah, it's been an incredible week, no doubt for Arsenal. I think both of our teams were playing on the same day, weren't they? So it was a
Mm.
huge game for very different reasons, of course, for both of our respective clubs. But I hope you know, just because I value you as a true friend, that even though Arsenal were playing, I was still checking the lead score from time to time just to keep an eye on it. So, I mean, tell the viewers, what are your thoughts? Huge win. A win that you didn't expect. Let's be very clear. You
Mm.
thought you'd be fortunate just to get a point. So a huge win away on the road, and obviously a big results coming the other way as well with Burnley. I think drawing 0-0, and Sheffield United. What's happened? I mean, ever since you said that they've dealt with the pressure fairly well, you've really put the kiss of death on them. I think losing at home, wasn't it? So yeah, how do you see it now with Leeds well placed or a good result in midweek, and now obviously with the extra goal difference as well, sitting atop the championship once more? You.
Incredible night of football in the championship. Again, I mean, it is the best show in town. And I was absolutely, I mean, as I said, I mean, I wasn't the harbinger of doom, but I genuinely expected us at best to get a point. I expected United at home to get a result against Millwall. And Burnley, the way that Burnley are, I expected them to sneak a 1-0 or 2-0 victory. So it almost was the perfect storm. Apart from Burnley obviously picking up a point, but still when I expected them to get 3 points. But an incredible, very, very tense. I mean, it's great scoring sort of 2, 3 minutes into the game, but obviously it you need a second goal, maybe it's third goal. So it was, and we did score 2 goals. We did score 3 goals. I don't know whether you've seen the highlights, but absolutely scandalous. And this is not the first time this has happened to us. I mean, in fact, the referee or the linesman that gave the offside, the first offside goal, he's done this twice before in 2 other games. So there is previous. There is a lot of Leeds fans like me feel that there is some sort of conspiracy to keep us in the championship. We're a big earner. We got a lot of views, and we're a cash cow for the championship. So there could be a reason, an agenda. But in terms of the game, I was credit where it's due. I mean, I've been very critical of Leeds over the last few weeks.
Well, hang on, hang on,
Uh,
hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on. You're not getting away with that. I was waiting. I thought this could be the moment. This could be the moment. When you first started off with credit where it's due, I thought, here it comes, the moment, the final, the moment that we've all been waiting for. And then I've been very critical of what Leeds United. You've not been critical of Leeds United. You've been critical of one man, are you?
well, I've been critical of Fark, and I mean, this was it. I don't think it was anything to do with Fark. Now, maybe he could turn around and say he's given a speech, he's motivated them. So maybe there might be a little bit, but I'm not. I'm sort of putting it down to maybe the just put in a shift, but also I think the the advantage of playing a side like Middlesbrough, albeit it's a tough game, it's a team in form. But Michael Carrick, you know what he's all about. He plays football. And the teams that we do well against is teams that play football. When we play against bruising sides, against Luton, against Preston North, and we always struggle because we are incapable, and Fark is incapable of devising a strategy to cope with the bully boy tactics. So I wouldn't say Middlesbrough played into our hands, but it does allow. I mean, Brendan Aronson post game did say that he didn't have any time when he was playing against Luton, but against Middlesbrough, he had lots of space to turn. He had time to look. So therefore, in a sense, it was the opposition that allowed Leeds to play. But what I will give credit for is that towards the end, Middlesbrough were. I wouldn't sort of say they were absolutely siege. There was a area, but we did put bodies on the line, which is what I want. Sometimes the ability may not be there, but the effort should always be there. So the effort was great, and it was really, really a touching moment after the game. As soon as the final whistle went, Tanaka collapsed to the floor in floods of tears. I think it sort of represented exactly what I want to see. That you give it everything, you leave nothing uh, on the pitch, and it was. I hope that this is not a flash in the pan. We've got a tough game against Preston, and it goes, and it's back to what I was saying about playing physical sides. It's a very physical side. We don't really do too well against Preston North End, uh, my hometown team, but I hope that this is a catalyst, and we do what we have to do. It doesn't matter how we perform, it's just get the 3 points because we're in the ascendancy again now. I've got a feeling that Sheffield United have got quite an easy game on the weekend. Burnley have got a home game against Norwich. I expect them to get it points.
What I would say to you is, after all of that, I mean, to not give Daniel Farke any credit whatsoever. I mean, you're talking about Sheffield United having an easy game. They're not on a good run, losing, I think, back-to-back games 1-0. Clearly, they're in a bit of a rut themselves. But look, Leeds, I mean, give them credit. You're right. I mean, you gave them no chance, really, away to Middlesbrough.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
what I would say is Middlesbrough, obviously, pushing for their own hopes in terms of pushing for the playoffs and what have you. So they are going to come out and play to some extent, aren't they? They're at home.
Mm,
They're expected to entertain somewhat. I mean, when you come up against struggling teams that would happily take a point against teams chasing promotion, it can become a stodgy affair, like you mentioned, a bruising affair. But just a quick mention. I mean, look, Leeds, good night for Leeds, given the results. I did want to just pick up on Dan James, somebody who we've spoken about previously, at least in person. Obviously, he got a big move very early on in his career. Was actually going to move to Leeds and then ended up moving to Manchester
mm.
United. Ayub. He's then obviously ended up at Leeds, and he thought it might not quite be Premiership level. It's probably perhaps exposed from a publicity perspective as well. Just maybe got into the limelight too quickly. Nothing to do with off the pitch stuff. I'm just thinking maybe it was just a bit too
Mm.
early. Seems to really be finding his feet. He's had a really good season for yourselves, 12 league goals, 9 assists, and just a goal. I mean, you mentioned about some of the blocks and the kind of uh, mentality that Leeds showed, something you've been critical of just at the back end of the game to try and uphold the clean sheet and the win. But to see him in the first second minute busting a gut at the far post to get in ahead of his defender. I mean, he was clearly behind his defender. And just to show that wherewithal as the ball slipped inside to say, oh, I can get on the end of this, just goes to show that kind of extra effort because he did have to get in front, let's say, to slide that in from a yard out. But incredible effort shows his commitment to the cause. You saw that a little bit with his celebration as well. So big props to him because it's not always been easy for him. I think he's had a lot of fans on his back as well over the time. For a young person, I don't think that's easy to deal with. He's not seemed to be somebody coming up with a lot of negative headlines off the pitch as well, Ayub. So good result for him to make some decisive contributions for Leeds, especially as of late. And again, he seems to be at the age of 27, just finding his feet somewhat.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. He's our player of the season. He's been sensational. He was good last season as well. And you're right. He's had a difficult time. I mean, he had that big, massive move to Manchester United. He sort of started quite brightly. I mean, remember he scored 1 or 2 goals, and he he sort of looked quite good, but then he sort of fell by the wayside. Uh, we sort of bought him. It never just quite worked out. He went out on loan at Fulham. Didn't really sort of work out there as well. And it's taken a bit of time. I mean, he's found his feet. Whether he's Premier League class,
Mm.
I think he is, but for a lower league side, a lower table side, I just don't think he's got enough. I mean, he's got paid. in the championship, obviously, if you've got pace and a little bit of skill, that's going to be devastating. And he's delivered for large portions of the season. So outstanding, deservedly our player of the season. And hopefully we get promoted, which sort of makes it much more sweeter to be a player of the month, and sort of feel that somehow you've contributed to that team getting into the Premier League. So absolutely, yeah, yeah. Right, talking about success. An amazing result. I mean, I must confess, I never ever thought. I mean, we did talk about it. We did sort of say that it wasn't beyond the realms of possibility that the Arsenal would produce a result. I mean, they're a decent side. I mean, we're not talking about uh, uh, sort of mugs here, but my goodness me. I mean, I've watched the highlights. Obviously, I was focused on the Leeds game. I was keeping abreast of the scores, and I couldn't.
You were the only
Yeah.
person in the country who was keeping abreast of Leeds ahead of Arsenal, Real Madrid. But okay.
But absolutely outstanding. I mean, I watched the highlights, and my goodness me, I mean, it was the three goals were just magnificent. So before you start and quite rightly sort of eulogize about the performance, I mean, Declan Rice, I think I remember once we are talking about his fee, 100 million, and our good mate Shax, he always sort of said that if you're paying that sort of fee, it's the sort of fee that you pay for somebody wanting to make an impact when it matters. There you go. Uh, some impact. That was some impact. So take it away. You talk about the game, your feelings, your emotions, and could you believe it?
Many commented Ayub after the game that it was the greatest night at the Emirates Stadium since its inception many years ago, and it's hard to disagree. Look, Mikel Arteta has his critics. I've been one of his biggest champions simply because of where he's brought this club, and I look, a lot of people feel as though it ultimately needs to be paid off with trophies, and I understand that it's top level competitive football. I'm not stupid, but ultimately, you still have to keep some semblance of common sense that simply just to move on from him seems to be very bizarre. Yes, you hold him accountable like you do every other custodian of the football club, but he is the right man for the job. And it's nights like these that validate it. I mean, it was an incredible atmosphere, Yub. Like I said, I was getting videos from a dear friend of mine prior to the game. The Real Madrid fans were in good voice singing songs prior to the game, but the atmosphere, Arteta called upon it. Smart kind of managerial nous, knowing that the crowd was going to be super up for it. Spoke about it in the press conferences in advance, saying the fans need to play the game with us, not just to spectate. And you saw that in full flow. What you then want is a performance to back it up. Now, look, game starts a huge affair. You can tell the pressure's on. There's tension in the air. And I thought first half was a bit mixed. I mean, Arsenal had some great moments. Real Madrid had one really good moment when Mbappe went through, and you sensed as though, oh, okay, pretty even Stevens, I would say, at half time. Second half, however, I think Arsenal, and again, you've got to give the coach credit. Clearly, he's got them ready in that second half, and I thought they dominated Real Madrid in that second half. Could have been worse, Ayub, I would argue, for Real Madrid. I mean, they conceded quite a number of chances, clearances off the line, great saves by
Mm,
Courtois, multiple blocks off the line if you count the Alaba one and the Bellingham one from Rice. But you're right, the night was punctuated by, I thought, two key players in terms of impact. I mean, Arsenal to a player, to a man, were incredible. I thought really good. You have to be. I mean, if you're going to beat Real Madrid, you're not going to carry any passengers. I felt the players rose to the occasion. I sensed that you, but I don't know what your thoughts were. You'd expect in the kind of face of pressure that as the game goes on, you'd perhaps be willing to say, it might just be a nil-nil game or 1-0 game. And yes, it's two set pieces that have broken the deadlock or opened up the game, but you felt Arsenal deserved that. I mean, in terms of the
mm,
way they were playing. So give players credit in the face of pressure. They stood up to that and really took the game on and ran out. Probably deserved 3-0 winners, I would say. Albeit the goals were from two set pieces and one incredible finish. So, look, just in terms of the players themselves, there's two players I do want to speak about. You mentioned Declan Rice. I mean, those are two of the most incredible free kick strikes you will see in a high pressurized situation in the space of what 10, 12 minutes or whatever it was. The first one, I mean, no doubt, Courtois spoke about it after the game. He's definitely got his ball wrong, but you still have to execute that. And there is something about these Champions League balls as well, where there is some semblance of an additional curl. You saw that with the way Rice hit it, in terms of with that kind of strong side foot curling around the wall. I'm not sure if actually one man would have solved that issue, Ayub. I actually think you probably needed one and a half bodies, so to speak, in terms of preventing that. But incredible finish from distance, hit it with a lot of pace. Probably had the distance to hit it with a lot of pace, which is what perhaps helped him. But the second free kick, Ayub is, I mean, it's an incredible strike. You
Mm.
see how he hits it with his instep as opposed to his side foot, especially the way he's approached the ball. But an incredible strikes, top corner, postage stamp stuff. There is something about watching it from kind of this outer view where
Mm.
it goes
Yeah.
in the first time, and you get this sense of wow, he's the ball's ricocheting off the nets and Courtois sprawling across. You're thinking, wow, he's done it again. So an incredible strike, deservedly so, for a player who I've again championed for many a year. I mean, look, he's 100 million, but it gives you everything. Lots of running, lots of effort, lots of athleticism, lots of power. His tackling's incredible. His passing, I think, is great, and his running's great. He never gives up on situations. He gives the team a lot of defensive stability. An incredible player. He'll be playing for Arsenal, hopefully, and obviously England for a long time. So incredible performance. Even the third goal, I don't know what your thoughts were. Incredible finish. I mean,
Mm.
the way he's had to actually not just the finisher, you, but the way he's had to actually maneuver his feet quickly, stepping out in terms of that slightly deferred position and then pivoting across and hitting that with a wonderful side foot with some spin, let's say, to arc into the bottom corner. That's what it takes to beat Courtois. I mean, you can just ask Mo Salah and Liverpool in that Champions League final where in the first half they had chance after chance and Courtois literally kept Real Madrid in it. So incredible goals by Arsenal. I thought deservedly so. They peppered Real Madrid for the most part in that second half. The crowd were there. The emotion was there. The intensity was there. Just want to give a quick shout out secondary, however, you to Miles Lewis Kelly. You know, I've been speaking about him a lot as soon as he broke in. I think I mentioned on the podcast many moons ago he'll be playing for England at the World Cup. I'm pretty confident of that. Um, 18 playing quarterfinals against Real Madrid, which is the most difficult out in Champions League football, and looks assured. That's all you can ask of a player who's that young. Don't let the occasion get to you. Be strong, keep doing what you're doing. He comes into midfield, just takes the ball, controls the ball, dribbling past star footballers, and doesn't look out of place. That's all you can ask of a young player. So incredible effort, I thought, from an 18-year-old who Arsenal will be definitely looking to improve his terms with a new contract and keep him locked in. And those players are worth their weight in gold, aren't they? You've in terms of coming through the
Mm.
ranks, uh, quickly establishing quite high value in the transfer market as well. If in the future they want to move on, but they'll be really looking to keep him locked down. But incredible result for Arsenal. Incredible result for Mikel Arteta. What I would say is, and then this is not me being pessimistic, but it's the job half done. There will be moments next week for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, where it's going to get tense, it's going to get anxious, and Arsenal will have to pass that test. There's many people, in some ways, quietly hoping they fail, saying, "Right, it's a done deal, they've done it."
Mm.
I don't think you can say that. It's Real Madrid. Arsenal haven't been at this stage in the Champions League for many years, Ayub. Real Madrid do this, just this is like a typical week for them. Now they'll be feeling the pressure. They'll know that they're on the verge of being out. You hope Arsenal can go there, stand the test of pressure, avoid an early goal in terms of conceding, and then really look to establish the game and maybe even try and pick up a draw, pick up a win, because that you will get spaces. The Real Madrid, if there's one thing they're going to give you, is spaces. So I think it's going to be a nervy affair Wednesday night. I don't think the job's done. I think they're nearly there. 3-0 should assure you of that type of advantage. But in the absence of Gabriel, it's the Santiago Bernabeu, it's Real Madrid. You sense at some stage there's going to be some pandemonium, let's say, and it's at that point whether or not you can just stand up and be counted. So incredible night for Arsenal, incredible night for the coach, great performance by the players. There was really nothing, in a sense, to complain about. A wonderful night. I really couldn't get to sleep afterwards.
Well summarized. Yeah. And I'm not surprised. I mean, we're, but I suppose in defense of Real Madrid, I mean, this is not a prime time Real Madrid side. I mean, I think the name's big, but I don't think this club at this moment in time has the players that probably they've had in the past. But still, it's Real Madrid, and obviously they're still a very good side. But we said that there are frailties. I mean, attacking wise, they're a great side. They've got some expansive players, but really, their form in La Liga has shown that they're not invincible. So it was never ever going to be a game which was a foregone conclusion and Madrid were going to win the game because A, you're playing a very good Arsenal side, and B, this is not the strongest of Madrid sides. Uh, but in terms of the way that I mean, I didn't watch the game, so obviously I've just watched the highlights. I'm going by what the highlights sort of told me. But from the highlights, I mean, the free kicks you talked about, I mean, both were exceptions, but the second one was. I mean,
Yeah.
if you had a said to Rice, right, here's the ball, put it in your hands, and put it in a position where you want. He couldn't have picked a better spot. Third as well. Beautiful. I mean, there's something about goals which go in the corners. They always look much better. But there was that sort of triple save as well by Quarter. I think a double save or a triple save. So there were other opportunities as well. It's a tricky one in one sense because when you go to the second leg, I mean, this is the whole point of two-legged games. If you've got a three-goal lead, what do you do? I mean, this is we've we've been here before,
Yep.
Barcelona, Liverpool, that famous game.
Yep.
So maybe they might be thinking that it's not a foregone conclusion. There is a chance, but obviously there is a lot of things that have to go right for them. I'm keen to see what the approach is going to be from Arteta in the second leg because it's one of those where stick or twist. Uh, I hope he doesn't just go with the mindset that right, we're just going to play a really tight game. Uh, but maybe that's what he has to do. At the end of the day, they're not chasing the game. Uh, but I think Arsenal have got far too much. I mean, they're a side that, whilst they've not won anything, there's enough quality and enough characters there. I mean, they showed it in the game, uh, in the home game. I saw, I just don't think Madrid have got enough. They've got some attacking players, but I just don't think they're going to overturn a three-goal deficit. So for me, it's a foregone conclusion. It's Arsenal into the next round, deservedly so. Even if they score early, I think there's just too much to do. I can't see this Arsenal side conceding three goals. I just can't. I'm looking at Arsenal in the semi-finals. Who would they play in the semi-finals?
Well, it's looking like
Aston Villa?
PS. It's looking like
Oh,
PSG.
PSG, isn't it? Yeah.
With your second favorite team, I would imagine. But Paris Saint-Germain, yeah, look, I mean, they had an incredible result yesterday as well. Obviously, the late goal at Villa against Villa to turn it into a 3-1 game could be fatal. I think we spoke about it in the podcast, didn't we? That Villa would happily take a narrow defeat back to Villa Park because that's
Mm.
going to be, in some ways, similar to the Emirates. I mean, yeah, they've got to turn around a two-goal deficit, but if that was 2-1, you could imagine what Villa Park would have been like. I mean, I think William went to the game anyway, so he's definitely going to be at the home game. Just coming back to Arsenal just for a second, you spoke about Real Madrid in terms of, I mean, not being quite what they are, and they've gone through a few indifferent results. Let's not get it twisted. We spoke about the Sociedad game where they just got through conceding four at home. They lost at the weekend. We spoke about this at home to Valencia, and I remember when they were playing Atletico Madrid in the first leg in the quarterfinals or in the last 16, I should say. And I was texting my friend saying, not saying I'd rather play Madrid, but I was just observing that if Arsenal play Atletico Madrid, I'm pretty sure that Arsenal will score a maximum of one goal across
Mm.
both games
Mm. Yeah.
because that's Atletico Madrid. They are such a stubborn football team, and Arsenal are a cautious team, so it doesn't
Yeah. Yeah.
yield, in a sense, a lot of hope. Whereas with Real, they play football, and given that they play with Vinicius Junior and Mbappe, and look, listen, I take umbrage to your comment that I mean that's about 400 million worth of talent right there. Bellingham's £100 million player simply because of his transfer value. Rodrigo played, and we know what we think of him, and other players in Valverde and all the rest of it. Although Valverde started in right back position, but they're an incredible outfit, and nobody thought Arsenal were going to win 3-0. But what I would say is, I always sense Arsenal were going to get opportunities simply because they'll let you play. That
Mm.
means Real are
Yeah.
probably going to get some opportunities, which they did. But I just felt it'll just make it easier for Arsenal because, to your point about, let's say, Middlesbrough earlier on and Luton, that comparison that you made, it's similar in some ways in the sense of, well, we know we're going to get a chance. We're going to play in open spaces. I mean, Middlesbrough, Luton, Atletico, Real Madrid. I mean, that's some
I didn't want to
going.
say.
I know. I saw it in your face. I saw it in your face. But I think you take the point. You're going to
Yeah,
get a
yeah, I
chance.
do, I
You're
do.
going to get a
Yeah.
chance to play. So Arsenal, you still got to take advantage of that. I still think it's going to get nervy simply because. Look, it's a three-goal deficit. If Real get a goal early, and I think Arsenal will be looking to keep it tight first 20, 25 minutes and hope that, in a sense, the game just arrives at their feet in terms of being able to just counter attack as Real Madrid continue to get desperate. I think they've got to turn into a desperate game for Real. If they can be 0-0 at half time, then you expect some spaces to open up, don't you, Ayub,
Mm.
for Arsenal and be able to score. I think Arsenal's going to have to score there. I really do. I just worry that the occasion, the crowd, that football pitch in terms of its size, I just expect Real to put something in front of their fans. And if they get an early goal, Ayub, you sense all bets are off. Arsenal will really start to feel the pressure. I mean, then at 95 minutes can feel like a hell of a long time at the Bernabeu. So listen, they've still got to come through. I'm interested to see how they perform. But it's another big test. But look, the first test they passed, and now we'll go from there.
Right, and we'll just talk briefly. I mean,
Yep.
you touched upon PSG, but in terms of what you think the game against PSG will be, because I mean I think PSG are through. I mean we talk. I mean they
Come on,
always play on the front
come
foot.
on,
Uh,
come
well
on.
they will do. I mean I think they've got better as the tournament's gone on. And I think that's always the best way to be. I think at the early part of the season, maybe they were a little bit rusty in certain areas, but I think they're just playing better and better. And they've had some big, massive scalps. That certainly helps. I mean, albeit you can sort of say that Man City are not the Man City of previous years, but still to beat Man City. I mean, I was at that game. Uh, Man City were poor. I mean, they were winning 2-0, and how on earth they allowed PSG to sort of come back and not just sort of come back, but win the game.
Mm,
Liverpool, they just blew Liverpool out of the water. But Liverpool, they just caught Liverpool at the right time.
yeah,
They've sort of tailed off towards the latter part of the season. Uh, and Aston Villa, I mean, they're a solid outfit. We talked about them. We talked about Emery being a really, really good sort of tactician. And it was that last goal. You're absolutely right. I think 2-1, and Villa are more than sort of uh, in the game. I mean, even though I suppose you can turn around and sort of say, well, it's still going to be a difficult task, but a two-goal deficit, I don't know. It just sort of seems a bridge too far. The team that I'm really, really sort of buoyed by and infused by is Barcelona. I think the one team
yep,
that really is making some great noise is Barcelona. So, in terms of obviously, I'm going to go as far as sort of put my head uh, out there and sort of say that Arsenal are through, PSG are through, Barcelona are through. Uh, who do you think now would really be confident, sort of thinking, yeah, who's playing a type of football, a brand of football, who's playing with swagger that you think is going to win? In my opinion, I think it's Barcelona, and the player that I'm so sort of happy is performing is Rafinha. I mean, I've been privileged to see the guy in flesh at Leeds United Football Club, and in my opinion, he's the best ever footballer that we've ever had. So, where do you see? Do you feel that? I'm not going to ask you, are you going to navigate it and get to the next round? Because you are going to get in the next round. But do you feel confident now that maybe this is Arsenal's year?
yeah. Look, I don't think I just wouldn't disrespect the second leg like you are. I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, I never thought they'd win the first game 3-0. I thought there was a chance they could win the game because I've said consistently Arsenal are a very good team. They have some shortcomings, but they're a very good team. And Real Madrid clearly have some shortcomings right now. So at home, huge affair. A Champions League night under the lights, fans enthused, coach enthused, and you get an incredible rocket of a goal to give you a lift off in the second half, and you go off that. But Arsenal again deservedly winners. I guess there's some euphoria around the occasion, and you get and you're lucky if you get one of these results in a sense in your lifetime. So it's an incredible game. But it's half time, isn't it, Ayub? And you've got to see the job through. So I'm not going to go and be as arrogant because I don't think Arsenal have earned that arrogance simply because they've not been here at this position. You're right about Barcelona, and I will give you some credit. I'll go back to Barcelona shortly. I was thinking about this a few weeks ago. I never spoke to you about it, given how kind of busy it's been. But you mentioned to me many years ago about Rafinha, even when he was at Leeds, played. And listen, he did fine in the Premiership, and I think I wouldn't say pretty much kept you up, but one of those seasons in terms of his goals and
No
contribute.
question about it. I mean, it's something that I say always.
And the thing is, if you look at how he's performed at Barcelona, you said to me a million times when Arsenal were linked with him, they're saying, "Oh, he's going to be perfect for Arsenal. He's going to be perfect for Arsenal." Clearly, you saw something that at that time I hadn't seen. I mean, you were watching Leeds much closer than I was, but I mean, there's some talk about him potentially winning the Ballon d'Or. I mean, that when I read that, it really opened up my eyes. I dug deep into the statistics, how he's performing, and if you look at the numbers, he's well and truly got a case. So the fact that he's holding his own in that front three and in that, like you said, incredibly well functioning team. Barcelona are the favourites for the Champions League. Let's not get it twisted. I mean, they're on course. I think, for a treble, with being in the final of Copa del Rey, well positioned in the La Liga, and now pretty much, well, they are through. I mean, 4-0's 4-0. If Arsenal had got fourth, I'd have probably said it'd take the most incredible turnaround. So you'd have to fancy Barcelona simply because they'll be looking at it like this. We're through to the semi-finals of the Champions League. We won't have to play a Bayern or a Real or a Liverpool. And I'm not saying that those are the three, or a Man City for that regard.
Mm.
And those four teams have historically been, to some extent, the ones that you'd keep an eye out for when you get to this stage of the draw. And they're not going to have to play potentially, I say any of them. Now, Bayern will still hope that they can turn that game around. But Inter Milan obviously went up the other end, got a winner. Kane missed an absolute sitter by his standards at 0-0. Incredible assist by Marcus Thuram for the first goal. I would encourage anyone to go and watch if they haven't already. That first Inter Milan goal, superb awareness and assist. But if Inter Milan get through, and they're an incredible team, well positioned in the Italian league, uh, Simone Inzaghi's done an incredible job there at Inter Milan, and he'll fancy it against Barcelona. So I think Barcelona will probably think, it could have been a tad easier, but it could have been probably tougher as well. So a route potentially of Inter, and then maybe if I go with your contention, PSG or Arsenal, they'll think, well, it could have been a Real, it could have been a City, it could have been a Liverpool, and then it's a pick'em game. So yeah, Barcelona playing too good. They've got some top players. Incredible season for them. Well positioned to lift multiple trophies. You'd have to fancy them. If that game had been even a little bit closer, you'd have said, not quite sure, but they brushed them aside. So yeah, Barcelona favourites. And I think worthy favourites as well, to be fair, given their pedigree, given the level of players that they've got. And again, you probably go to say if Barcelona win, where does that put Yamal? I mean, he won the Euros with Spain, potentially winning multiple trophies with Barcelona and the biggest trophies with Barcelona at such a tender age, making huge contributions as well. We're not talking about a bit part player, we're talking
Mm.
about a first team player, one of those first name on the team sheet type players. So incredible. That could be some story as well. So yeah, I think Barcelona are favourites. Arsenal, I'd just love to see it. Obviously, if they can get to the semi-finals, because these are the games. These are the games. These are the
Mm.
moments that you live for. You want to be challenging. I always say this: as a big club, you have a right to be challenging at the highest level. And Arsenal are obviously showing that right now. Huge win, and I think that is something to be praised. Yes, you've still got to try and keep going as far as you can, and they'll see the semi-final. I mean, there'll be some players in that dressing room just to finish where, as much as they'll stay professional, they'll be thinking, well, we've beaten PSG earlier on in the season, and they're a different team, but that is how professionals might be thinking. And the other opposition could be Villa, and although they've had their troubles against Villa, a chance to play Villa over two legs to get into the final of a Champions League, you mean that's you're going to look at that and say it should be a much different kind of route. So yeah, it's going to be an incredible affair next Wednesday night. I think it's going to get nervous. Unfortunately, that is the way it goes. I think when you're at the Bernabeu, but Arsenal have to stand up and be tested and stand the test of that. So let's see how it goes. I'm optimistic, but I wouldn't go as far as you are, I'd say.
Well, the reason why I'm sort of, if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be really confident, is because Madrid will have to score at least 4 goals because I can't see Arsenal not scoring. So for them to stay in the game, they're going to have to score 4 goals at least, which is why I just sort of think I can't see this Arsenal side conceding 4 goals. I'm seeing PSG Barcelona as a final. I've got to be honest. I mean, I just sort of think that where the teams are playing, and if it is that final, I mean, obviously it's going to be disappointing for you,
Yep.
but I cannot think of a more purer final than PSG and Barcelona. I think in terms of forward thinking, attacking mindsets, that probably will be. I mean, it'll end up with 0-0.
Yeah,
But
I'm just thinking the opposite would be perhaps like an Arsenal Inter Milan final where you're thinking, oh, this is going to be so much. I mean, they played
straight
it.
to penalties,
Yeah,
straight
straight
to
to
forget the game, straight to penalties.
straight to penalties. Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I think in terms of the pure, a lot of storylines that you've been in that situation as well. Luis Enrique coaching against his former club,
Yeah, yeah.
Dembele going up against Barcelona, and what have you. So yeah, lots of storylines. Look, I think irrespective. The Champions League final is going to be an incredibly watchable affair, and that's what you want. You want entertaining. Obviously, if Arsenal somehow, through the miracle of all miracles, get there, it'll be just incredible. The nerves, the tension. You want to be part of these games. You want to be part of these stories. For the longest time, they weren't. They really weren't. They were
Mm.
just absolutely
Yeah.
irrelevant. So, big night, deserved night for Arsenal, I thought. Big win. Players stood up. They'll have to stand up one more time next week if they want to punch their ticket to the semi-finals. The only thing I would say, just very, very, very quickly, PSG. Um, I do think just they're probably in the same position as Arsenal. Although they've been to these moments much more frequently than Arsenal have, they've played Champions League finals. You remember, I think it was the COVID season. I think they played Bayern Munich and lost. But they have they've been to these moments, but they'll also feel a bit of pressure. I mean, they conceded the first goal. Liverpool, yes, although they dominated the first game, but they did lose that first game, and yes, they only won on penalties. So if Villa can be 1-0 up with 20 to go, 25 to go. I don't think it's a done deal. So, yeah, I think Villa will pour it on. Villa Park, can be, if they can get an early goal, Ayub, they'll fancy it. Aston Villa will absolutely fancy it. And you sense the pressure. And that's why I always say the first leg, although there's pressure, there's nowhere near as much pressure as when the second game is kind of drifting along and you're thinking, oh, a mistake here could be fatal, or do I make this run? Do I not make this run? Because we might leave ourselves open, or a defensive lapse or what have you. So I wouldn't give PSG that credit just right now. They're in strong position. And right now, you'd say, yeah, Arsenal PSG looks like a semi final penciled in. But yeah, funnier things have happened, haven't they, you? So let's wait and see.
I mean, the reason why I'm much more optimistic now of PSG getting to the final is that this is a different animal to what PSG used to be in the past. Because I think the problem in the past was they had too many Mbappe, they had Messi, they had Neymar. So in a sense that, and these guys were bigger than the club. I mean, especially Mbappe. Mbappe was. I mean, I don't know whether it was true or not, but he'd be involved in all elements of business. He'd sometimes say, he'd get involved in somebody's signing and all that kind of stuff. And in a sense, it was it was his club, Mbappe and PSG. I think for the first time, I think whoever made the decision of, I mean, I don't know whether it was individuals who decided to leave, but I think somebody has now sort of seen sense and thought, right, we don't want to just have a sprinkling of stardust. We need to have a good, youthful, energetic side. Obviously, good players, and it seems to be now it's a team you're watching. I mean, they're not sort of. I mean, obviously you've got sort of established football players there. Dembele's an established football player, but these aren't sort of household names such as Mbappe, such as Neymar, such as Messi. These are sort of players that really, really, I mean, you see the enthusiasm. I mean, it is the exuberance of youth. I think they are a very, very young side, but very energetic, very sort of forward thinking, uh, full of confidence. I mean, if you're 2 goals behind the Parc de Prince and then overcome that and win 4-2, it sort of shows a certain steel as well. So I'm and I've got an affinity. Obviously, I spend a lot of time in France, so therefore I have an affinity. I've been there many, many times, so it is a club that I have a soft spot for, and I think the football they're playing as well. And I think just from a purist point of view, to see a PSG Barca final will be incredible. But for your sake, and I think for English football as well, it will be great to see the Arsenal as well. And I see no reason why they can't. I think Arteta, what he's done is outstanding. We've talked, I mean, I certainly talked about that. Maybe he's more geared towards European football because it is a lot more intricacy playing European games than playing the Premier League. In a sense, Premier League game obviously does require a lot of thought, but there is a lot of fast and high octane. But with the Champions League, there is a lot more thought gone into it. So maybe that's why he's performing well and he performed well. So it's exciting, but I'm going to give you the final word as a gooner. Give the final word. What's your final sort of thoughts before we check out?
Quite often, we've spoken about sports in a very we have a difference of opinion all the time. We've spent many years together speaking about how you talk about wins and losses and cups and pots and all the rest of it. And that's what it's all about. I often speak about the more nuance and the different elements and what have you. But just as an avid fan of you, I was watching on Tuesday night or Wednesday night, Tuesday night, I should say, ready to
Yeah.
start a new chapter with work the next morning, knowing that I've got a long drive ahead of me and all the rest of it and what have you. And I just remember watching, obviously hoping that just give me a win so I can head into work because I'm going to be bleary-eyed regardless. But let's make it. I just remember thinking this is what football, I guess, when you're supporting a football club, you've spoken about it with Leeds. I said, this is what it should be. I'm quite often relatively unemotional, although I'm super invested in Arsenal Football Club. But it's probably the first time I watched the game in a not in an emotional state, but really desperate for your club to do well. And and kind of punch in a sense, not their ticket, but to really kind of have one of those wins, and you know what I mean, have one of those that kind of capture the headlines, have a big moment for Arsenal Football Club. So, yeah, it was just incredible. Like just the feeling of it, the euphoria of it, to see those goals. I mean, they're not just normal goals. To see those find the back of the net, the fans, the manager. You want that as a fan. It's the kind of raw emotion that in a sense took over. I mean, even the missus halfway through, she got up and she was checking her phone, and I said to Arsenal beat Real 3-0. You'd never do that on a normal occasion. But yeah, just in a sense from a fan's perspective, it was the most incredible night. I stayed awake for another hour or so, just checking reaction, talking to my son back home, and it's just fun times. And in the back of your mind, you're
Mm,
thinking this could go belly up next week, but heck, I'm just gonna enjoy
mm.
for today. So there is something about sports that tells you that when the big wins come along, we spoke about it recently. I don't want to go on about it too much, but if you remember one of the podcasts, I spoke to you about how I caught the reaction of the bench when Leeds stayed up through that goal from Joe Gelhardt, I think it was. And I remember
Yeah, yeah.
saying to you, I love the raw emotion of the bench
Mm,
emptying, all of them careering towards the corner. I'm talking the substitutes, coaching staff, everybody, they just fly into the
mm.
corner. There's something about that visceral enjoyment of a moment that the adrenaline just rushes through you. And I sense that I felt that on Tuesday night. So no doubt next week will be much more nervy because now you're protecting something. So
Mm.
let's see how it goes. Hopefully it's a good night for Arsenal Football Club, get through to the semi-finals and hopefully go from there because then it's anybody's game, isn't it, really?
Yeah, beautifully said, because you're right. I mean, that's what sport is all about, isn't it? It's those moments, and nothing else apart from sport gives you those feelings, that sort of euphoric feeling. I mean, obviously, it's like there's a lot of down sort of feelings as well, but that sort of it's unadulterated, pure joy, and in a sense, especially now. I mean, we're living in very dark times, with some very dark and dubious characters controlling the world. So maybe escapism is much more important. So these moments mean a lot more. But absolutely perfect. Thoroughly enjoyed the chat with you as always, always. So I hope you enjoyed the show. I mean, it's a little bit of indulgence with the Arsenal and the Leeds, but I hope you stayed for the 40 odd minutes. And if you've got any thoughts, pop them in the comments. Smash a like if you enjoyed the show. And until the next time, see you soon. Ta-da for now.